Hello and welcome back to the Dealing with Technical Debt course, and welcome to lesson 2. So in this second lesson, I want to help our understanding of technical debt, and I want to do this by digging into the different types of technical debt that we can have. Technical debt will always be present in the system to a degree, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. If we think about the different causes of technical debt from before, they all fall somewhere on the following scale. So, our technical debt is either accidental, didn't mean to put this debt in there, it wasn't a deliberate choice, or it can be deliberate, so we took a conscious decision to take a shortcut. We deliberately created this technical debt because we thought we had no choice, or we thought it would give us an advantage. So all of those different types of technical debts, there's somewhere along the spectrum of accidental to deliberate. And if we think about accidental technical debt is accidental if the developer or developers producing the code didn't realise they were making a poor technical choice at this time. So for whatever reason, they were lacking the knowledge needed to make a better choice. This could be a developer not fully knowing how to properly use a particular library or framework. For example, it could be things like a developer not being aware of how to write multi-threaded code safely. Or it could be a development team not realising there were particular non-functional requirements, and because of that, they've delivered something that wasn't going to be stable in the environment that it actually had to run in. Or maybe it's something like a poor design, coupled with a lack of testing, leading to changes in one part of the system, breaking existing features. So we've introduced instability into the system, accidentally. And accidental technical debt is always a bad thing. If you can't take control of the quality of the product, then the output is always going to be of an unknown quality, and future work on such a system will take an unpredictable amount of time, risk and effort. You can't fix what you don't know about. And some people might disagree with entirely accidental technical debt being called technical debt, but to be honest with you, I'd say don't worry about the semantics too much. The question is, does the metaphor still work? Is this lack of awareness that initially existed, is it causing you to deal with technical debt differently? I'd say not. After all, accidental technical debt, regardless of the cause of the technical debt, it's still technical debt that you have to address in your system. Keeping with our debt metaphor, just because you aren't checking your credit card bill doesn't mean that you're not spending. So if that's accidental technical debt, what does deliberate technical debt look like? So technical debt is deliberate if we're making a choice and deciding not to go for what might be a preferred solution, and instead go for one that's in one or more ways not as good as it could be. And why might we do such a thing? Why go for something that's not our ideal solution? There's a few reasons for this, some of them good reasons, other ones not so much. So it could be that we want to get our product into the hand of customers early to get feedback before spending more time and energy making the big, robust, scalable solution. This is a good reason. We're going to get some learning by deploying this in a careful way and introducing something that, it might not be technically as sound, as solid as it should be. It might not be able to cope with the full load of all of our users at once. But if we deploy this carefully, having this technical debt can allow us to get early feedback, then make any adjustments we need to before we build the bigger, more technically sound solution. Or it could be we need to make a deadline that's going to bring the business significant value. So it could be a trade show or something like this. It could be a particular client that we have to deliver by a certain date in order to get their business. And then this business benefit, this business value, could then fund the development of the bigger, better solution. And again, this is a good reason, but we have to be careful that we don't lose sight of that technical debt. So if we're deliberately creating technical debt in order to get it out early into the hands of a particular customer or to win some new business, we have to make sure that we do guarantee that we are fixing that technical debt before we then try to roll this solution out on a wider scale. Now, another not so good reason that technical debt could be deliberate is we're just being lazy. We know what the right solution is, but we can see the effort involved, and we take shortcuts before we think we can get away with it. We want to make it someone else's problem. I've seen people time and time again do this, unfortunately. But it's things like, maybe it'll be okay, maybe it won't be. I'll just hand it over to test. If they come back with issues, I'll fix it. But otherwise, I just want to get this work off my plate. I want to work on the next feature. I don't really want to be working on this. I want to work on something more interesting. And that's clearly not a good reason. And here's the thing, if you continue working that way and don't push through that barrier and step up and do the right thing, it will come back to bite you, usually as a far more urgent and important issue later on. It's going to be far better to spend a little bit more time developing the more solid solution now than it is to just try and push this through test and then wait and see what happens in production. Because if it goes wrong there, then you're going to be under all the time pressures to fix it quickly. Or maybe we're deliberately introducing technical debt because we feel some pressures. And we feel that we know what the right thing is, but don't feel that we can actually spend the time needed to do it right. And this is a common one. We say that, yeah, we do feel these pressures, we do have to ship this code, so I'd like to do this solution, but I just don't feel that I can right now. And the interesting thing with this, and something I do see as a consultant helping development teams, is that more often than not, those pressures are imagined and are wrong. Okay? So when people ask us to implement something, there is an implied assumption that we're going to do it properly, we're going to do it the right way. And when you do make these kind of shortcuts, maybe because you feel product won't allow us the time to do it properly, you're also assuming that taking a shortcut now isn't going to cost you more time and effort in the short term. And I can tell you from bitter experience, when those kind of issues come back from testing, acceptance testing, release testing, etc., it does take a lot more time and effort from the team as a whole than it would have taken just to do it right the first time. So I would say that if you do start to feel those pressures, you do feel that maybe you haven't got the time, or maybe you are being pressured to deliver it soon, then just double check. Go back to your team as a whole, go back to your product manager, and present them those options and say, look, I know what I should be doing, this is what I feel, implementing it properly to the quality level we've got is that okay? Are we okay to do this? And more often than not, the answer will be yes, let's just do it right. So take ownership of your work, take ownership of the quality of your work, and take ownership of any technical debt that you feel tempted to introduce. And looking at a scale of accidental, deliberate that technical debt falls on, I believe that all technical debt falls somewhere along that scale, because especially with the technology choices available to us now, with whatever solution we choose, there is a viable alternative. With any decision we make, there's always new information just around the corner that could lead our previous solution to be obsolete or seen as having technical debt of some form. So that's it for this lesson. What I want to leave you with now is a question and an exercise to complete. So have a think about the technical debt that you've got present in your systems. Have a think about the different areas of the system that you work on that have got technical debts, and try and put it on the scale of accidental deliberate. Is there a particular bias one way? Has a lot of your technical debt crept into your system accidentally, or is most of it deliberate? Are there deliberate choices that you've taken that have led to you introducing technical debt knowingly? And perhaps, for whatever reason, you just haven't been able to tidy it up yet.